Hello boys, girls, and squirrels, welcome to yet another video. I've had inspiration to make this one because I've been doing a lot of solo Oblivions lately and I was thinking, what perks really would be the hardest to beat it with? However, unlike my last perk tier list video, I have a tier list, so I can organize things a bit better. Up the top we have the near impossible tier, which is self-explanatory. It goes down to incredibly difficult, somewhat doable, and middle ground. The last two tiers are easy and very easy by my standards, meaning I can consistently do them and have a higher win rate than Lost Grade in Oblivion. Before we get to the rankings, I have to say these are in no order. Like, absolutely no order. These are just the order of what the tier list link had, if that makes sense. First up, we're hitting the ground with Survivalist. And, you know, it's not that... It's pretty good. Not great, but it's good enough. It's not going to be super easy by any means, but I think it could consistently do it without having too much of an issue. Next up after ouch. Ow. Next up after Survivalist, I'm going with Arbiter. This one sits very comfortably in the bottom of very easy because it's super tanky, good perk ability, doesn't have any horrible gun debuffs, has good melee damage, and yeah, that's all it has. And that's all you need for Oblivion. So, easy. Next up we have Sovereign. I think Sovereign would do pretty good. Its only downside is that it's pretty slow. The Thrall's ability would be really nice, especially if you get bad boss spawns and need time to get space. The speed alone though, it puts me on a line between middle ground and easy enough. But I'll put it in middle ground because Void Dining will take a bit longer because you don't have much melee damage. Now we have the second perk to go into very easy. We have Vagabond. Vagabond was the perk that I ended up soloing Oblivion with because I wanted to capitalize on its melee speed against Zealot Void. My fault, I blanked. Now that I have done challenges like Meleeless solo Oblivion, I realize that traits alone doesn't make Vagabond OP. That being said, its speed and zero gun downsides make Vagabond my recommended perk if you don't want to play Arbiter. That's why it's going in the very easy. Next on this list I have Executioner. First glance this might seem quite difficult, but when you look at it closely you realize XT might not actually be very bad. Without its goggles, Executioner is just a tankier survivalist with some slight recoil issues. Professional avoids this downside and makes Executioner pretty decent with Oblivion. However, I think the hardest part about a solo Executioner Oblivion is the Knight's 1 through 10 phase and getting enough scrap to make the ammo. With all the thought I've put into this perk, I think I'll have to put it into easy enough. Now we have Berserker. It's pretty okay. Like, coming from the voiceover man himself, it's pretty alright. If you get a UMP, you win. You win. I've had my fair share of Berserker solo Oblivion. I didn't win, but I got enough to tell you that the UMP still works, even with minus 100% recoil. Just get professional and you win. Anyway, back on track. It's pretty similar with Executioner, except that Knights 1 through 10 will be easier, and the Oblivion phase will be harder. Two things that these perks will do very well in is the Void Downing parts. Without their perk ability, these two will have some of the best melee damage with 3%, making Void Downing not much of an issue. That being said, it will go into somewhat doable. Now we have the third perk to go into very easy. We have Tick Spider. This perk has so much going for it in the gun control category, with Professional giving it 0 recoil. But I think we all know that. Its ticks are super versatile with the damage and cripple, and it's super strong throughout Knights 1 and 10. Its melee damage and speed do hamper it a little bit, but its buffs are too strong and convince me to put it into very easy. Now we have Damned. I swear to you it's a tier list, it's not me. And this one is going to be pretty easy to rank. Obviously it's the hardest perk to play in the game, and I can easily put it into near impossible without any disagreements from anybody. But if we know anything, it's that damned solo Oblivion, whoops. It's absolutely in the realm of possibility, and one day, maybe I will attempt this challenge. This is Alcativa speaking on me. I'm not gonna do damned solo Oblivion, you're not gonna catch me doing that. No. Now we have Blitzer. Blitzer's only real downside is its less melee damage, which makes the Void a little bit harder. However, with no gun downsides and all of that's being pretty decent, I don't think it'd be too big of a problem. However, for me, I don't have a lot of experience with Blitzer, but for someone who's good at it, I'll have to put this in easy enough. Now we can start putting perks into the difficult categories, starting with Risk Runner. Obviously it can't aim, and requiring Lone Wolf just to function well. Along with the next to zero ammo pickups and being slower than usual, Risk Runner will have a pretty difficult time with this. Excuse me. With that being said, I think I'm gonna have to put it into incredibly difficult because it does have some upsides when it comes to guns. Now we have Hive Mind. F tier. No, this one is actually going to be a bit lower than you think because of its next to useless perk ability in Oblivion and won't do anything for you. It has less health, stamina, and recoil, all of which will hurt a lot in Oblivion. However, if you can do it right, then I think this would be somewhat doable, which is the tier I'll be putting it in. These next three perks are also going to be super hard to play with, starting with Lazarus. Oh my god. Lazarus is nearly as bad as Damned when it comes to Oblivion because you will be dropping your gun every second of the fight. One of the things not usually mentioned in Oblivion runs is the mental strength needed to die in an hour-long run and still want to keep retrying, and Lazarus will be the worst with this. Absolutely nobody will have fun playing Lazarus in Oblivion, and this, combined with the simple fact that you drop ranged weapons on damage, will put this in near impossible. Now for the super unfair perk, Emulator. We have to remember that this takes place in the legacy game where Emulator cannot aim. When the challenge TPA was out, Emulator was notoriously the hardest part of it, and this will be no different. You will require Professional and Lone Wolf, which gives a very big challenge in deciding what other trait to choose. Emulator on paper seems not the hardest, but when you look at the history of TPA attempts, you'll understand why I'm putting this in the bottom of the list. Now for the last difficult perk, Artillerist. Artillerist is just a nerfed tick spider, with less resistance and no ADS recoil control. However, I do think Artillerist ability can be optimized well if you can aim, and its ability combined with its increased ammo pickups will put this in somewhat doable. Next perk we have is Prophet, which is just Survivalist version 2. I think Prophet will do well in Oblivion because its fast and perk abilities aren't the most useful thing ever. Its ability can help weakening bosses though, which is why I'll put it in a comfortable, very easy. Next up is Zealot. This perk has a lot of variability, and at first glance I would put it in middle ground due to its low speed but high resistance. However, when I looked at it deeper though, I realized that it'll be a lot harder specifically because of one single con, the attack speed nerf. This means violent tendencies won't even let you get a comfortable third hit on Nightmare Zealot Void, which will near double the length of the fight. I think for this, and its low move speed, I will have to put it in somewhat doable. Now we have Mind Flayer, which is actually a very difficult choice for me. It has very strong upsides but very debilitating downsides, along with a very strong perk ability. I think its ability alone moves it down an entire tier, because Mind Flaying a Pipe Wrench cultist will give you a free win for an entire wave of enemies. It's clashing pros and cons, put it in middle grounds, but its ability will move it into very easy. No, not very easy, just normal easy. My fault. Now we have Crosslink, and I'll try to stay unbiased for this ranking, but it's another perk that can move very quickly and has an ability that can actually help in Oblivion. Its downsides will hurt a lot, as it doesn't have much resistance and melee damage. However, its move speed and ability will let me put this in middle grounds, I think. Someone else ranked this for me. I have too much bias with Crosslink, says Akatillo. Now we have Drifter. Drifter is an interesting perk because it's good at evading enemies and will make quick work of Nightmare Zealot Void, along with the immunity to exhaustion. And something, I know it's a debuff. However, its gun cons will cripple it hard, which makes it require Professional and Reliable. Its ability will hard carry it here though, which means that I'll put it in high middle ground. And now we have Apostle. This is a perk I'm currently attempting, and so I have a good idea and strategy for it. Its resistance and health help it a lot, but its cons are a lot like Drifter's, as it will cripple it up a whole tier. It's slow, has bad recoil, and worst of all, can't aim. However, its Dave will help as a meat shield, but you must remember that using a Dave and equipping the hand will lose you 55 total health. most of which are necessary to do in Oblivion. Trust me when I say summoning the shadow is necessary, as one boss in particular has given me tons of issues. Taking everything into consideration, I think I'll have to put Apostle in the incredibly difficult tier. That's every perk ranked on how well I think I would solo Oblivion. If you have any ideas or thoughts on how I rank things, comment them down below, so I can block you. Cause everything I say is right. And if you have anything else to say, you're not waking up tomorrow. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a good day. Especially you, Taro. I beg, don't kill any of us. I swear, none of this is hive mind bias.